Background footage might as well me just be insta-locking Clove in Team Deathmatch to practice on my ult account because everything else is just cooked.
Oh my god! Wait, what?
Obviously, most of everyone now knows the patch and at least gets an idea of what's coming. The thing is, the patch is big and the main focus is all the nerfs on the agents. The map changes people are pretty happy with. The gun changes people are pretty happy with. No one's complaining about the fact there's now a higher skill ceiling and more options than just tap firing. You can now burst as well as spray more controllably. Okay, all is good. People are happy there, but it's all the nerfs to the agents that has the community divided, like straight up divided. And I'm gonna go ahead and argue more upset than happy, which is a little bit odd because I think for the most part people were complaining about utility spam, and now I'm seeing both. I am seeing people happy, but I'm also seeing people upset. Then I'm also seeing arguments that are unfair. So I'm here to just discuss straight up. I was reading the comments and I'm having more opinions and I just want to communicate. If you want to know the patch notes, I'll link my video down below where I actually go over the patch notes. It even has chapters now thanks to a W viewer who gave them to me. So I was able to set up chapters. You can check out that video. In this case, it is a bonus video, a yapathon, people who are just interested in what's coming tomorrow in this patch and the feelings and emotions and community feelings behind it at the moment. I should also make clear, while I was able to talk to Riot directly more than once, and I know why, but more than once, they just said that they want us to play the patch first before communicating as much as possible, but then the leaks came early, so now there's way more community opinions at a earlier date than anticipated. And I have to say, we got to give them at least the benefit of the doubt that they did tell me more than once it is the biggest update ever. They internally played it more than any other patch. They played so long with this patch internally and they said it felt good. So like we gotta also trust that they played it a ton, and now we gotta play it a ton before making a full opinion. However, what was lucky on my part is getting their philosophy and getting their explanation directly, and that both lets me agree and disagree with some things, as well as read some of the comments I'm seeing online and try to address them as sort of a middle party, which should be some fun, as well as a ton of my own opinion. So that's what this video is about. It's just a straight opinion piece, commentary, bonus information, bonus opinion. Let's get into it. The biggest elephant in the room and my main character, he's gotten overwhelmingly the most amount of comments, and we're going to address more than him, but I want to start with him, Yoru. Oh my god, and it's a big reason I want to yap, because bro's my main. I insta-lock Yoru most of the time, and so many agents got nerfed, but he got doubly nerfed. And it speaks to their philosophy on nerfs, so I'm gonna talk about it. So first comment here on my previous video, the entire philosophy of nerfing Yoru to the ground because he's the only used duelist in pro play is absolutely absurd. Pro play is an entirely different environment, and I don't see why normal players like us should get affected because of it. Next comment, so Clove doesn't get nerfed because it doesn't get picked in pro. Good one, Riot. And then this last comment's my favorite. So the Yoru nerf is absolutely insane. As a Yoru main, this is BS because now your ult is just a Sova drone that costs 8 points and will get you killed if you try to play aggro with it. Let's hope this entire patch gets cancelled or something. And then someone replied, oh no, I can't insta-flash and come out of nowhere with a shorty in my hand and one-tap you with a $300 gun. Wah, wah. They killed my agent. Tell me you're bronze without telling me you're bronze. And this is funny because this is why I wanted to make a discussion video, because it's a little all over the place. So first of all, let's address the fact that I already mentioned in my previous video, which is what got people talking about the philosophy of nerfing in pro play. And it is true, while I can't show you the slide or presentation, the presentation they gave us, for example, particularly said Yoru is nerf does come from pro play, and then they even said specifically his ultimate. Now, the reduce and flash was probably going to come no matter what, and I don't think that's bad. Like, Yoru's flash at 2 seconds was the highest flash any duelist had, and it still can come out as a pop flash, so it is kind of crazy. Like, even I felt his flash was OP, so it does make sense to reduce the flash. I gotta capitalize on the pop flash more aggressively with more skill and be more intentional. I think that's fine. Like, I low-key think that's fine. Same thing with the clone flash being reduced. All good. I think that's fair. I think TPing, like when I fake TP, I both sound cues where I am and the fake TP play at the same time, basically telling the enemy I'm either here or there, but not anywhere. And low-key, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I think it's a good change, because if I throw the TP one angle and I fake it and it pops where I am and where the fake DP is, the enemy is going to be looking left and right. But if you're positioned in a way you can wrap, low-key, I think you can use the sound cue to mess with enemies even more. Getting 2 sound cues is low-key confusing on its own. Getting 1 sound cue, you're like, okay, he's either there or faking. Getting 2, there, or maybe wrapping. That's my opinion. I don't know. I think you can use it to your advantage if you play it smart. But again, just my opinion. You could even like trigger it and then have your teammate like push with you at the same time. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I don't even think that's a bad of a nerf. But the big one here is the ultimate, and in the end that was changed because of Yoru's pro play presence. And I agree. It is so stupid. It doesn't make any sense, and let me explain why. And this is where 2 people can be right at the same time. The guy who's upset is correct because the nerf based off of pro play and making Yoru just feel like a drone and taking away that creative ability of placing down your util is super lame. It is super lame. But then the other guy who was complaining that Yoru popping out with a shorty, jumping and shooting you is annoying is also okay, because anything that is frustrating to play against is a valid criticism. I don't think we should be mean to the guy who's saying, wah, tell me you're bronze. He didn't deliver it correctly, but his opinion is valid. So both of these people have a point. So let's actually be a little bit more neutral here. The patch, I think, is overall going to be good. It shouldn't be canceled. But if we were to neutralize Yoru against all the other nerfs, you would leave his abilities the way they are so you can set up and play aggro, but maybe when popping out of the ultimate, add some sort of little longer delay on equip animation so that I at least have to pop out in cover, but I could have set up my clone and TP somewhere more, you know, fairly instead of me having to pop out and then just be chased to death. So there's some middle ground that can be had here, and I don't think Riot worked on hitting that middle ground due to the fact on how they're thinking about pro play. Now what this means is that Riot watches pro play and they know pros can Yoru ult and then communicate as a team. So I Yoru ult, okay, boom, 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 boom. I have pro play teammates. So they're watching minimap and listening to my comms. I'm like, yo, there's someone in elbow, and they're going to throw a stun. As he gets stunned, I'm going to pop out and he's dead anyway. So the developers are like, why does he need util as well when they're already going to be stunned if you work with your team? Bro, who's going to be working? Who am I going to be relying on to help me in my ult every single time? Valorant is still 95% casual solo queue players who maybe are duoing. The biggest rank distribution is like silver to plat or silver to diamond. Bro, what are pros are going to need their own patch at this rate if we keep changing this way. It's not that fun. It's really, that's not a good way to balance. And they specifically said Yoru was changed because of pro play, and that leads to why Clove was not changed, even though Clove is dominating for so long and Clove has a huge presence. Now, does that mean Clove needs to be straight up nerfed? I don't know yet. In the end, I didn't play the patch. You didn't play the patch. They've been playing it internally. Maybe there's a reason Clove wasn't nerfed based off of everything else being changed. I don't know yet. But I think the philosophy here is more so, wow, Clove super strong solo queue, don't touch. Yoru super strong pro play, nerf to the ground. I think it's that philosophy, even though it's not black and white, and I don't think we should blame Riot for being like black and white here, but it's the general philosophy existing there that is always going to make the casual player more upset, because if you're aligning for the pros are not casuals, therefore you are appeasing to your minority, not your majority. Does that make sense? Now, this next comment says, Riot don't realize that most players in ranked barely use their utility effectively. Nerfing utility is just hurting players who do use them effectively and buff all aim no brain players. So now that we addressed Yoru, and specifically I mentioned Yoru because of the over nerfs, a lot of other agents, to be honest, got a blanket nerf, which means for the most part, if you can shoot it to break it, its health got reduced, so everything just breaks quicker. Sage Wall, Gecko stuff, Killjoy utility, like in general, things just break quicker. Even Vice, if the flash comes out, you can break it. So they made stuff easier to break or breakable. And on top of that, there's a blanket nerf like all signature utility from 40 seconds to 60 seconds so that less utility is going out. We do have some particular nerfs. For example, Neon takes a full minute to recharge the running. And I understand that this blanket nerf, which is just less utility in Valorant, is being taken kind of negatively, and to the point that I have to sort of hard disagree, because this will increase the skill ceiling, not lower it. Like, that comment is wrong, and there are a lot of comments like it that are getting likes, but I genuinely believe, like, I want it to be a discussion and debate, but I genuinely lean pretty hard on just saying it is incorrect. Because the fact that utility comes up quicker or that Neon can run more often is what makes Valorant easier, not more difficult. I know it's what a lot of people feel made Valorant unique, but the abilities are still existing. You just have to be intentional. And let me explain why this is important. If you are just throwing your util mindlessly, you are not as punished as you should be. You can clear so many more corners way more often. You can spam way more often and not be punished. If I want to fake a site and the site fake fails, we'll just go to the other site and hit it normally. Don't tell me you won't, because signature abilities, by the time you rotate, are almost back. You barely wait and you're just going to push the other site, even if I had the read where the enemies didn't actually fake. That isn't smart. That's not skill. Spamming in general is not skill. Util dumping is not skill. And if you are on the other side of being util dumped, it's not fun being util dumped. You die, and then 40 seconds later, someone else gets util dumped. Like, having an extension where if the utility is used correctly, you get a pick, good. But the util being used correctly, where let's say you get a team wipe, should happen in a consecutive play at once, not get 1 or 2 picks, retreat, wait for util, and do it again. But either way, even if I didn't convince you or I don't make sense, think about these couple changes on their own. For example, let's say the breach util, including the alt, is narrower, but it comes out quicker. What is the intention behind this? The intention is so that you can't brainlessly alt site without thinking and get most of the site and then just go in. The intention is through a Sova recon dart or a drone, you get information on which half of the site they're on, alt that half, it'll come out quicker so they can't reposition, but you played off your Sova drone, and then you guys, let's say, clear the other half together. Like, it is literally making stuff more intentional instead of brainless, and that is okay. I think they are genuinely raising the skill ceiling of Valorant from abilities to guns by making things intentional and changing stuff like making things more narrow or quickly breakable. Why are they quickly breakable? So that when you use Gecko, you can't run out into the open. You got to think on where you're throwing the util. It is gonna be frustrating. It is gonna be frustrating, especially early, and you can be like, oh, what's the point? But the point is to literally get better, like be better. And in the end, I'm gonna have to take this as well, even as a Yoru main. I just use Yoru as an example because they told me it was based off of pro play and I wanted to get my opinion out on that philosophy. But even there, the entire idea is adapt, get better, and play smarter. And this also goes for the guns, which I've also seen some misunderstandings on. Like here, and I've seen multiple comments. Their gun mastery definition is being able to run and gun with Phantom and Sheriff as long range and be able to headshot people midair with any one-tap weapon. I don't know where this is coming from, maybe because I said spraying is becoming more viable, and I think people are really misunderstanding this. I'm only going to go over it slightly because it's not a primary issue, but there is no increase to running and gunning or spamming. There's an increase to the fact that if you, with your mouse, have the skill to counteract the recoil, you will get a tighter spray, allowing you to, let's say, pop, flash, peek, and if you see 3 people flash, actually spray transfer and get 3 kills. It is going to make for some hype moments. This is going to affect pro play as well as us, but equally. Like pros, you're going to see some crazy sick plays, and I love that. Like, I think it's straight up good. It is increasing the identity of each gun. It is increasing the possibility of how gunfights are taken and what you can do based off of the situation. Like, for example, the Vandal has overly been dominant. This playstyle just opening just allows the Phantom to catch up. If you want to tap spray from, or sorry, tap shoot and strafe from long distances, go Vandal. Be a headshot machine, right? We know that will always exist and didn't get nerfed at all. But now just having the other option is a good thing. I'm just going to put that to bed once. You are not running and gunning. You just have a new skill. It's like adding a skill tree in an RPG, and now spraying is one of it. And that's pretty cool. Honestly, the roster-wide rebalancing to reduce spammy, repeatable utility and focus on gunplay and coordinated ability timing is just a good thing. Like, it is genuinely a good thing. You whiff your ability, it should be not as detrimental, but still almost as detrimental as whiffing your shots, right? If you peek and you whiff your shots, you die, right? Like, you get killed back. But if you miss your abilities, it is just way less punishing at the moment. And I think increasing bad utility usage and that being punished is just good. Less utility spam, more rewarding gunplay, more, and to be honest, there's one thing that is true. I know I'm mad about Yoru again, but there will be a little bit more individual outplays because there's going to be shorter concusses, near sights, flashes, and disabling timing, meaning like you either got to use that window as quickly as possible or risk being outplayed. And that's a good thing because in the end, across the board, they're also also increasing something that people are missing. They're just increasing counterplay. Like Cypher, for example, when the trip comes up, they're removing the concuss. So again, reducing how much shit hits you. But then what people were upset about is that you actually don't get revealed by the Cypher trip right away. You only get revealed after the windup time is finished. And think about what this is for. This is for that if I run into a Cypher trip, I can flick and destroy it without getting spammed through a wall, which when you do doesn't feel like counterplay, right? Same thing as Yoru coming out of the ult and shortying, so we could deal with that and deal with other stuff that are frustrating. It's not fun. So now I have counterplay. I have the chance to flick and shoot it. If I don't do that in time, I'll get spammed through the wall, but then I can blame myself instead of blaming, oh, Cypher's annoying. Because how many times, even in the mid-range ranks, do we push a site, we see a Cypher and we're like, ah, hell nah. Sometimes attacking can be frustrating, and reducing certain frustrations is not a bad thing. Genuinely, it is not a bad thing to reduce frustrations. Having Cypher one-ways that were so strong that no matter what you couldn't push it on Ascent, now allowing you to actually swing it, and if it's placed mindlessly every round over and over, break it, that's good, because now Cypher is encouraged to put that trip in a more freaking creative spot, right? That isn't a bad thing. This does shake up Valorant, and shaking stuff up, especially after like half a decade, it's in my opinion not bad. Here, this is my opinion. I guess there's no right or wrong answer, so you can disagree with me, and that's fine. Comment down below. That's completely fine. If anything, it's actually super interesting. A lot of other discussion comes on what is this going to do to the meta, and let's be honest, this here is all just predictions, okay? From here on out, take my word as nothing. It's just a freaking lowly player talking. But I am going to say that I see aim first duelist heavy comps, like Jett is going to be really good. Raze, I think, is still going to be really good. Chamber is also going to be just naturally improved because less things are in his way. I don't know. I could see Phoenix. Like, I see myself picking up Phoenix more now, especially like Jett and Phoenix. I think are my two. Like, I'm still going to try out Yoru, see what's up, but I still think like straight up heavy aim first duelists will get a natural buff. And I know people are going to like low key, I think like Breach Sova, they're still going to be super important because you're going to need some coordination. I think that's what people are afraid of, coordination. Even I'm afraid of coordination. Like, I think the one problem is they have set it up in a way where like your team, like you do have to rely a little bit more on your team because they can mess up their utility way easier. Like, people already mess up the utility, but then they're punished more for messing it up. So you're going to have like a Sova that you're upset with because they're going to throw their dart and then you're going to have to, you have a minute of no info if they throw it like mindlessly and it just gets shot, which, you know, makes sense. If you throw it mindlessly and it gets shot, you threw a bad dart and now you're punished. You don't get info for like a minute, which it's kind of funny. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I feel we're going to rediscover Valorant. Maybe I'm hyped because like in the end, it's, oh damn, I'm going to get hate for this. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the words. It's just a game. And I think it is fun to shake it up. I don't know. That's my opinion. That is genuinely my opinion. Now, there are some other people who are like worried. They're like, oh, less utility means ops are just going to be so broken again. Like, I think that's why they didn't touch smokes, though. You know what I mean? I think the reason they didn't touch smokes is because smokes inherently are going to be still used as they are now, right? Blocking off sight lines and changing how you have to position around the map, etc. And those pockets where there is no smokes won't get as util spammed. That's my prediction. Again, I wish if we had the patch notes, I would have asked Riot directly, were smokes largely untouched because the rest of the utility sort of inherently makes the game feel more open? Because think about it, if someone were to smoke off 2 choke points and that leaves 1 center area to play in, hopefully you guys can imagine it, that center area then gets spammed with utility, right? And then it gets overwhelming because you either go into a smoke you can't see or you're playing out in the open where so much utility is spamming your way. And I wonder if the blanket nerf where there's just less utility in the game makes it so smokes inherently feel less oppressive, but instead shift the way you're playing around the map. I don't know. It might actually increase the value of smokes, but then the way they're used will intentionally be slightly different. All prediction from a player who's not a pro and is shit at the game. But I'm just sort of imagining here. I left the theory crafting to the very end because it's might largely be incorrect. So that's what I'm thinking. I am wondering what's going to be stronger and what's going to be weaker. But with a blanket nerf, I think only playing will be able to tell, right? I think only when we get in and we see what's going on, we'll be able to understand better what's strong and what's weak. Because until we start seeing different agents and different combos, how can we truly know? I do see immediately like the aggressive pushing being still very prominent, like obviously jet dashing in, or like I said, Phoenix ulting. And like, how many times do you Phoenix ult, you turn the corner and you get util spams, or you can't attack a site because of how much utility there is, large amount of utility. So I don't know. I feel like the maps are about to feel a lot more open, is what I'm trying to say, because utility suppresses and changes how maps are played and plays a large role in map control, and less utility flying left and right just gives you more options on where you're going to play, and is going to leave us as players having to be more aware. I don't know. Any way I try to hack it, I feel like as a player, I'm going to have to be more aware. I'm going to have to be more intentional. I'm going to have to make sure my aim is better. Like, I feel it's just like a get good moment, but I don't know. Again, leaving the theory crafting and raw opinions to the very end. I don't know. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow online. Yeah, you can expect some videos from me as I play and get more opinions, and I don't know what type of videos I'm going to make, but you know I'm going to hop in Valorant, and we're going to re-explore what feels like Valorant 2.0, at least on paper. Again, keep it up. Let me know what you think down below. It's interesting seeing the community shaken. There's people who haven't played Valorant for 2 years getting recommended these videos now. So maybe Riot knows what they're doing. I don't know. I'll leave you guys with Tenz's opinion on the patch overall. A lot of people are calling it the Tenz update, so I think it's pretty fitting. You know, some people said Riot took the meme too literally, where gunplay didn't matter anymore. And during the discussion, when we talked to them directly, they mentioned it. They are aware that people were complaining, and I think overall it's warranted. But this is what Tenz has to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
I think they cooked. So far, though, from what I've seen from this change, is you can't just donate utility anymore. You'll actually feel like you get punished for just throwing pointless utility. If you do throw utility, you're gonna have to capitalize off it faster. And layering util should still be pretty fucking strong. By doing this, you're starting to increase the skill expression that you can show within the game. You actually have to be conscious of what decisions you make, what utility you throw, what kind of space you take with your utility, how you want to take a site. Bro, you actually have to think about this stuff now. And so there's actually solid skill expression, I think. Because the one thing that was like kind of frustrating in Valorant, I think, is sometimes it feels like the ceiling is too low sometimes. And it feels like you can't become better than like a standard player, you know? It's like, especially from like a utility point. It's really hard because you just press a button. Anytime you press a button, if it didn't work, guess what? Your button comes back shortly. Bro. What the fuck are you doing, kind of? What is this?